So this story goes back about 35 years. I was living in Greenwich, Connecticut at the time with my two daughters who are here tonight, and my wife, who was in the travel business. Greenwich, as you probably know, is one of the richest communities in the United States, and in consequence she had two very large travel clients. The first may be known to some of you, a heavy metal band called Deep Purple. Yeah? Yeah, some of the older people will remember Deep Purple. And they travel extensively. I mean, they tour the entire year. So I hadn't had any contact with them for maybe 20 years, but I Googled them a couple of days ago, and to my surprise, they're currently on the US tour, and they are performing a week tomorrow at the amphitheater in Mountain View. So if any of you want to go, that's the place to go. The other client is the one which this story is concerned with. This was a financial services firm run by a very charismatic guy called John Galanis. And when she met them, they were pitching to wealthy investors tax shelters based on real estate investments. And because of that, they were having to fly them around the countryside very expensively. But let me tell you what happened. The pitch was, for every dollar you invest, you will get $4 back. Now, I don't know if you think that's something you should be suspicious of. But this was in the days before Google, so I guess they didn't go look up Galanis. But if they had, they would have discovered he had recently come out of jail for a stock fraud. And here he was running an apparently very large investment firm, flying people around all over the country. So the investors, by the way, were largely from Hollywood, and the guy who suffered the single largest loss was Eddie Murphy. So when I looked him up, I thought, this is interesting, because the story I'm going to tell you goes back 35 years. And what happened was, he took $175 million from the investors, and they saw almost none of it back. He was finally caught and prosecuted by, of all people, Rudy Giuliani, remember him? Still around. And he and his fellow swindlers were sentenced to long sentences in jail. And in fact, Galanis got 27 years. And he served 15 and got out in 2001. By this time, he had three young sons, the eldest of whom, when he got to his 16th birthday and passed his driving test, was given by his dad a Ferrari, which at that time retailed 35 years ago for $100,000. In 2001, the dad and the three sons disappeared. So I Googled him as well. You might have thought that after that, he would have had enough, quietly retired. But no. Last year, he and the three sons were convicted again for financial fraud, and all received long jail sentences. And the eldest son, he with the Ferrari, obviously wanted to outdo Dad. He had, in addition to the $70 million they relieved investors of this time, the eldest son ran on the side another $40 million swindle involving pension funds, including, regrettably, the pension fund of the Sioux Nation. So they've all gone back to jail. And in fact, I read yesterday that 2 weeks ago, the eldest son was sentenced to 17 years. So he'll be out of commission for a while. But what's this all got to do with travel? So the way these guys worked was they spent a lot of money on travel. And one of the systems they used was an airline that existed at the time called Regent Air. It only had one airplane, but it was very lavishly fitted out just to carry 30 or so passengers. And being a startup and in financial difficulty from the outset, they failed to pay the commissions to my wife that were owed on her sending all these wealthy punters around the countryside. So finally they came to a deal where the airline gave her a free ticket from Newark, New Jersey, to Los Angeles. Now, I was running my own business at the time, and I wanted to go to a big computer show, which was held in Las Vegas every year, called Comdex. So she said, why don't you take this free ticket and go to LA and then scoot across to Las Vegas? So I thought, this is great. So I booked a hotel, and since I was going to arrive late, I got one on Century Boulevard in Los Angeles, and I looked for something really cheap, and I found one with a free LAX shuttle. And then I booked a flight the next morning from LAX to Las Vegas. So I set off on the due date and go to Newark Airport. I drive around looking for Regent Air, but of course in the terminals there's no sign for them. I'm finally directed to the cargo area on the far side of the airport, and sure enough there's a Quonset hut there with a 727 parked alongside it. I'm the last to arrive, and all the other passengers are already filing out there. I only have time to see the valet take my car, which is returned when I get back, washed and shampooed and vacuumed, and they're wrapping my scruffy suitcase in cardboard to make sure it doesn't get damaged. So I get on the airplane, and it turns out that there are a few seats at the front, a stand-up bar, and in the back, several conference rooms and 2 massage rooms. And all the other passengers except me and one other guy promptly dive into the conference rooms or into the massage rooms. The hostess says, what would you like to eat? And I said, well, what have you got? Imagining, chicken, fish, pasta. She said, well, we've got anything you want. 5 minutes already? Good heavens. All right, I'll get to the end. So when we land in LA, I decide to wait until all the glitterati have got off the plane. And then when I look out the window, I see there are 6 limos lined up at the far edge of the airfield where we arrived. No sign of my motel shuttle. So I wait, and I think if I get off last, I can beg a ride on the crew bus back to the terminal. So as I go down the stairs, suddenly around the corner comes a yellow minibus from the Century Motel with an illuminated sign on the roof saying, we offer free XXX movies. He comes screeching around the corner, comes to a dead halt, opens the window, looks out and says, Jesus Christ, I've never seen 6 limos together in my life. The glitterati look at him in total horror. And then he says, anyone here called Murphy? I say, yes, and I run to the bus.
All right, I hope you got to see some good movies too. All right, John, that was a great story. Let's keep it going. Remember to respect the time.